It's Tuesday. You're sitting at your desk and you've hit a wall. You look at the clock. The day feels 50 hours long, and you feel an overwhelming, almost physical pull to stand up and be literally anywhere else. Usually, we brush this off as a simple lack of focus. We tell ourselves we're just distracted, or we label ourselves lazy for wanting to avoid the work sitting right in front of us. By the Middle Ages, theologians had classified this specific feeling as a sin. We know it today as sloth. Over time, that word morphed into a cartoonish image of a person lying on a couch, refusing to get up. But the people who first identified this feeling were not describing someone who wanted to sleep all day. They were 4th-century monks living in the extreme conditions of the Egyptian desert, and they recognized this urge as a terrifying psychological affliction. They called it acedia. Out in the heat, they nicknamed it the noonday demon, or the demon of elsewhere. It isn't a love of rest. It is a hyperactive, restless hatred of the present moment, the absolute conviction that your real life is happening in some other place. When we lose the category for a condition, we stop experiencing it as an outside attack and start experiencing it as a valid insight. Without the word acedia, we mistake a spiritual assault for a sudden moment of clarity about our own lives. To understand how this works, we have to look to the severe testing ground where early Christian monks went to face their own minds. They walked out into the blinding isolation of the desert, specifically to strip away all external distractions. One of these monks was Evagrius of Pontus, a brilliant former church official who fled a high-status life in the city. Watching his own mind and the minds of the brothers around him, he built a clinical taxonomy of 8 generic thoughts that disrupt our attention. Here is Evagrius' system. 7 vectors pull the central mind outward, representing thoughts that tempt us towards specific external desires. But the 6th thought, acedia, is unique. It tempts the mind away from everything, dissolving any value in your current task. When this hits, it doesn't cause you to lie down. It causes you to spring up. You suddenly remember emails that need sending, floors that need sweeping, and urgent errands to be run. We tend to praise people who cram their schedules full, but busyness is not the opposite of acedia. It is simply the demon's favorite, most respectable disguise for a soul fleeing the present. Evagrius noted that this psychological attack arrives in a specific sequence. First, your mind starts building a case against your current situation. The work feels useless, your coworkers seem unappreciative, and the environment feels completely hostile. Then comes the pivot. Once you hate where you are, you feel a sudden, pressing need to abandon your task to go do something else, specifically something virtuous. You convince yourself that you could be much more helpful or productive elsewhere. This is the masterstroke. The urge to leave justifies itself with an undeniable truth.
The ancient monk would tell himself, "God can be worshipped anywhere, so I don't need to stay in this cell." Today, you tell yourself, "I can answer these emails from the coffee shop." These facts are entirely correct. You really can work from anywhere. But acedia turns that truth into a reason to leave at the 1 hour when staying is your actual job. It weaponizes your information to corrupt your timing. This makes acedia genuinely diabolical in the oldest sense of the word. It does not trick you with a lie. It hands you a truth, timed perfectly, to convince you that your life is somewhere else. The ancient monks thought this psychological flight using a tool called the cell. They treated these 4 walls as a technology for manufacturing attention, a device engineered to remove every exit so the monk would have nowhere to flee but his own mind. Today, we carry the exact opposite technology in our pockets. We built an anti-cell. Our devices are engineered specifically to ensure that the elsewhere is always one glance away, so we never actually have to inhabit the physical reality we're sitting in. Later monastic rules categorized monks into different tiers. The absolute lowest tier was a group called the gyrovagues. These were monks who refused to commit to a simul community, wandering endlessly from place to place the moment they felt unsatisfied. The ancient world viewed that constant drifting as a miserable failure. But look at our culture today. We call it being a digital nomad. We view the total lack of permanent attachment as the ultimate freedom. But that freedom masks a deep internal panic. We flip between tabs, check feeds, and jump between tasks in short, frantic bursts, looking for an escape hatch from the friction of deep work. We haven't conquered the noonday demon. We have successfully manufactured an entire world that accommodates our deepest psychological vulnerability, and we printed on our recruiting posters. So, how do you cure a condition that attacks you with literal truths and is cheered on by the structure of modern society? The ancient antidote is deeply unglamorous. It is a vow called stabilitas, stability. It is the radical, lifelong commitment to remain exactly where you are, with the specific people you are with, and work the problem. Geography provides the only handle a creature of dust and time has on the present. You cannot be present in the abstract. You can only inhabit a specific room, at a specific hour, among these actual people. An old desert saying goes, "Sit in your cell, and your cell will teach you everything." But the room can only teach you everything if you entirely forfeit the option to leave it. The next time you hit that wall on a flat Tuesday afternoon, and your brain hands you a perfectly logical reason to check out, recognize the attack, name the demon, and then refuse the exit. In a world designed for constant flight, the cloister becomes the one place where leaving is finally refused. By staying, we stop being escapists and finally arrive in the lives we were actually given,